Hello, my name is Jonathan Inyo, and I am a college student at the University of Texas at Dallas. After seeing the death of George Floyd, I was angry and upset to say the least, and I was trying to figure out how could I best artistically represent the Black Lives Matter movement. And I said to myself that the best thing to do is to amplify the voices of others. And so I decided to interview a couple of my friends, Emma and Alex. What you're about to see is a series of questions I posed to them, and you'll get to learn about their thoughts and feelings regarding the movement. I hope that with this video, by watching it, it'll be educational and open people's eyes as to what the Black Lives Matter movement means to others.
Black Lives Matter, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the mass political and social movement that has come about this year after the death of George Floyd, specifically, like most prominently. But also to me, I mean, I think of Black Lives Matter starting back with the death of Eric Garner so many years ago now. And I think a lot of people have only become like extremely aware of the movement this year, but it's been around for so much longer than that. And I think the term in general has become a lot more maybe acceptable.
For me, it just stands for inclusivity, and even more so, not even just awareness, but there's this term being used now, being actively anti-racist, not only towards, I've heard a lot about, racism towards other people. It's like, well, what about Black people? And I feel like people kind of downplay it by saying, oh, well, we had a Black president. Okay, after how long in America's history? So I feel like it's not just a movement that brings awareness, but this movement is really trying to bring about change. I felt the anger, and I felt the pain. I mean, especially as, a Mexican woman down here in the Lower Rio Grande Valley, I feel like there's a sense of maybe not as much urgency compared to like the Black Lives Matter movement. And perhaps that's part of like our culture and stuff. But I really admire that they really, took up the torch and went, and fought for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of these people, Ahmaud Arbery. And I feel like they're really doing what they can, and just pushing this need for change. Like we definitely needed it for a long time, especially for the Black community. And, I have a lot of Black friends myself, and I get worried, especially during, political tensions and race tensions. And it scares me because I would hate to see one of my friends, and see, I would hate to see their names on the TV as one of the victims of hate crimes and then not be taken seriously.
It's unbelievable that it is still continued. More people have been, sorry, it's like hard to talk about. Like more people have, like innocent people have been murdered for no reason. And in the public, it's like they don't even care. But I think the events that have transpired because of what has happened are working our way towards change. I want to see a reform in how our police are trained and how our funding is distributed to them. Absolutely. I think a lot of people, especially around where we live, hear terms like defund the police and get really nervous and scared and think it's something that it's not and misinterpret the term. But what it's really talking about is not completely taking away the police. It's talking about redistributing their funding so that they are not being overfunded.
I would just really hope there's some type of comprehensive change when it comes to, the political spectrum being allowed to run. Laws, of course, people will say like, racism is outlawed, things like that. But the point is that there's still discrimination, especially in the workplace. It's subtle, but as long as they don't tell you the exact reason why, they can get away with it. And loopholes and things like that need to be gone, just completely gone. None of this, subtle discrimination on any level. It needs to be gone once and for all. I mean, it's now 2021, and there's no reason that we should still be fighting things like this. You know, we're supposed to be more of a progressive country. I would really want people to really look into BLM and not just listen to Fox News or just any kind of news outlet, regardless of political affiliation. Do the real research, see the true voices behind it, not what your friend said on social media, whether they're for or against. Do the real research.
I guess something that I had expected to talk about and wanted to talk about was white allyship to Black Lives Matter. And I did some research before talking to you about different ways that white people can be allies towards the movement, and also at the same time help avoid the white savior complex that is plaguing this movement, I guess. So some of the ways that I found to be allies are to support Black-owned businesses and media. So watching film and television and small creators who are Black, and also supporting Black-owned small businesses, especially right now during COVID-19, is really, really necessary. Another thing we can do is call racism out when you see it, whether it's online or in person, and also take note of people's silence. If they're silent about the movement, especially back in June, July, when things were really, really bad, take note of people who were silent and people who were not, and try to talk to them. Another thing that I read commonly that Black people were saying to white people who wanted to be allies were, don't expect or rely on Black people to educate you. You need to educate yourself, and we have to hold each other's racism accountable. It's important to not put that burden onto Black people. Again, like I said before, help fight against the white savior complex. Don't try to be a savior. Try to work with people as equals. That's the only way we're going to solve anything or make any sort of progress. Just not being racist is too low of a standard. Like, the bar is on the floor here, right? You have to be actively anti-racist, not just not racist. You need to call people out, and I know it's hard. It is hard. I've experienced that. It's hard to do, but it's necessary. And the last thing is to be honest about your ignorance. And that's the only way you're going to be educating yourself, is if you're self-aware of your ignorance.